Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, the Brotherhood Compass.
So today we'll be reacting to a video where Andrew Tate is being
talking about mental health.
he's talking about mental health and he's being interviewed by a guy named Tucker. So our main concern for choosing the video was actually like addressing mental health, but also like we found a relative video where we could actually react to. So I think we'll get started with the reaction.
Yeah. We
Okay.
can get our views on that.
Yeah.
You've said depression isn't real, or it's not as the way we describe depression isn't accurate. What do you think of depression?
When I say depression isn't real, that really upset the world, especially the liberals, because they all live on medication, right? When I say depression isn't real, I'm saying that because I don't believe in things that can take away power from me. If I believed in depression, I would have been depressed in jail. But I can't be depressed if I don't believe in it. If you don't believe in ghosts, how can you be haunted? You have two people in a haunted house. One believes in ghosts, one doesn't. There's a knock in the night. One wakes up, calls an exorcist, is terrified, looks for a ghost. The other guy doesn't believe in ghosts. Knock in the night. Goes back to sleep. It's the belief in the ghost that gives it the power. If I don't believe in depression, I believe in feeling depressed. Sure, we're humans, we have emotions. Sometimes we feel depressed, sometimes we feel happy. I don't believe in the idea of becoming a depressed person who has depression. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's possible for me. So if I don't believe in it, how can it happen?
I think that's a really good take on how depression is viewed today, right?
Yeah.
So I was actually waiting for that place where he was actually saying, like, I believe in a person being depressed, but a depressed person doesn't exist. Like, there's a very big difference. Like, I think depression, when you look into it, it's how people react to certain scenarios or situations that makes them actually depressed. If you take a certain scenario and you view it as something that's attacking you mentally or in your perspective, I think that's gonna always trigger you or keep on bothering you all the time.
It's basically a mindset, right?
Mhm.
How you handle things, how you
It's about, he's talking about the post of a person gets into depression. He's talking about the coping mechanism basically, that we shouldn't believe in that particular state of mind to get out of
yeah,
it.
that's what. That's the same.
But we can't deny the fact that depression exists, and not in the way that it is present in today's world, how people are taking it in. Yeah, it's horrible because of the people that they have made it into. But when we look at the fact that actual facts of how depression is and how people are depressed, so we can't deny that particular fact of therapy and all of that.
But I don't want to get into therapy yet.
Yeah, of
Because
course, that's a different.
that's a
thing.
different school of things that you don't want to tap into right now because until we discuss how people's perspective is, because there's a reason why people actually go to the therapist. Either they don't understand their own mental state or how they can view things or their perspectives, and that is one of the main reasons why people go to the therapist, right? Because they want some other third perspective from another person, and they can tell them, so like, this is how you're thinking and this is where you're going wrong with your thoughts. So yeah.
Therapy is a whole new thing.
I don't believe in depression. So why would I not adopt the mindset that makes me the most capable predator I can possibly be? Why not adopt the mindset that makes me as competent and as fearsome as possible? If you have to install software in your own mind, why would I not install software that makes me capable of not only driving a Bugatti and flying on private jets, but sitting in a Romanian dungeon covered in cockroaches? I need to be able to do all of it. So why would I believe in something that made me incapable? I don't believe in depression because I think that even the belief in and of itself, when you feel depressed, you'll start to consider, maybe I have depression. Then you go see a psychiatrist who tells you you have depression, and they want you on pills. It's the belief that goes down the spiral. If I feel sad, I go, I'm depressed today, I'll be fine tomorrow.
So why? I suspect you're right, or what you're saying is pointing toward truth. That's my personal view. But even if I disagreed with you, I disagree with you. Why is that so offensive, what you just said?
Well, that's what's interesting, because when I said depression wasn't real, the number of people who would attack me defending depression, this is why I didn't understand.
Right.
You say depression isn't real, but depression's ruined my life, and it's super real, and it's ruined my life, and I lost my marriage. I'm like, if I told you it wasn't real, you should be coming to me saying, tell me how it's not real. Please help me with my
Right.
depression. Why are you trying to convince me that it's real? Why are you sticking up for it? And,
Why are you defending depression?
and why would I adopt the thinking of someone who's sad? Why would you're going to convince me to take your worldview. You just told me your wife left you, you're fat, and you want to kill yourself. And you want me to sit here and go, with my perfect life, and go, you know what? I want to think like this guy. You're out your mind. I don't believe in it. And because I don't believe in it, it's made me the kind of person who can't become depressed. And
Yeah, I think there's a very key point to what he said, because like he said, don't come to me because I'm living a perfect life, but you're living a shitty life.
Yeah.
And there you can literally see the difference of how you're viewing it and I'm viewing it. And the result is actually tangible. Like, you can see your life being a living hell. And based on that, you're continuing the cycle of that being the causality of your depression, and the depression being the causality of your ruined life.
Yeah, how people are pursuing depression in a different way, basically. They're just getting into the loop of, as you said before, that they are just stating a reason, and with the first fact that they didn't have a happy life, they didn't have a happy family or wife, which he gave an example. So they should address the proper reason, the actual reason that why they are depressed, and they should cope up with it, not just ranting about it, that it isn't real, and all of that.
People just rant at this point instead of trying to find solutions for their problems. It has become a more routine thing. Right?
See, the problem with finding solutions is people don't want to find solutions based on facts. They want to find solutions based on, how other people might convince them. Like, for example, one of the worst things a therapist can do is give you pills. That's my belief, but that's the worst thing a therapist can do.
Yeah.
Because the human body, I don't think the human body, see, I'm not a biologist or anything or whatever it is, but I definitely don't think the human body should be taking pills just to, alter the mind based on things. Because there are certain drugs which are actually illegalized, narcotics and stuff like that, because they alter the brain.
Yeah.
These things, medically being sane and legal, they still alter your mind. Why do people take them? It doesn't make sense.
They just want to feel good at that point of time.
Yeah, but the key point I'm making, like, the question is, why would you take pills from a therapist but not take pills from a drug addict or something like that? There's a difference of credibility.
So basically, it's like having the license to take drugs.
Exactly, right. Yeah. So that's like they're legalizing the drugs they want us to take.
Yeah.
And the other drugs
they're
are
just fueling more rage and more insecurities in you.
Actually.
Those pills are making you more,
Yeah, that might be a permanent, temporary solution, not a permanent one. It will have some permanent effects within our bodies. So that is that.
It is an addicting solution. It is not just a temporary solution.
It either messes with your hormones or your neural receptors.
Because you keep going back to the therapist just to take those pills.
And that is another business or something like that.
Whole new industry.
Yeah, it's similar to the education industry, which we don't want to tap into. But that's the point which I want to highlight in what he said over there.
The pills can't be like the solution for that particular depression that they are going through. Or when we can look into a particular person who is depressed, I feel that we can point out at the particular reason that they are depressed. When he shares his entire story, he keeps his entire life in front of a therapist who is unknown to him. I mean, a therapist can actually point out what has happened to him and why is he depressed actually, instead of giving other medications and destroying his natural body, basically.
And mental state.
Yeah, there's a risk of privacy. There's a risk of you being exposed to unnecessary drugs, and there's just a risk of bad advice. It's just bad advice. You can just see if you're feeling bad about something, and if you solve that problem, you just feel good about it. Like it's let's take a simple example. If you want to eat something you love, and instead of eating that, you're forced to eat something else, you're sad, like while you're eating it or for the rest of the day, because you didn't get to eat that.
Just you're eating for the sake of eating, not because you want.
But if you actually order it and eat it, you just solve the problem, you're happy now. That's basically how depression works. You just exaggerate it to the level such that you think it's like actually ruining your life.
Yeah, but depression is not all about only sadness. Being happy is also a symptom of, not basically a symptom. It comes under the symptom of.
It's a
depression.
masked truth of
Yeah.
depression.
Yeah, but we can't state that sadness is only falls under the depression.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a different.
There are different levels of depression. It depends upon your situation and your problems, what you are going through. It's not always about emotions. That should also.
It is basically about emotions. Sir.
How
So
you
it is
handle your
different.
emotions, yeah.
Yeah, that is the later part of how we are dealing with our emotions once we get depressed.
You are talking about falling into depression.
Yeah, we can't, as I said before, that he'll not get into the mindset of getting depressed. I mean, one cannot choose if he's getting into depression or not. There is no particular point in his life that he's getting depressed. That the next second, yeah, I'm depressed now, or the next second, I'm not depressed right now. So that doesn't work like that, I believe.
It
is a
basically
process.
like if you are entering that depression state, you will either have two options. You have to embrace your whatever situation is going on, or you have to act out.
Yeah.
Means basically fix your situation.
Mhm.
Either you have to do any of the two. If you choose the high path, you'll be well and fine. If you still want to go in the same, oh yeah, my life is like this, like that, then
See,
you'll eventually be in that situation where you are going to be depressed.
I think majority of the solutions why people can't actually, decide on a solution and, go ahead with it to solve the depression is because they're limiting their ability to actually complete performing that solution or whatever it is. Because sometimes they'll be like I want to go here, I want to travel or something like that. But if it's a simple answer, if you want to travel, you'll travel. There's freedom for you to travel, right? But they give every type of reason like, oh, I don't have time, I don't have money. Like you can solve these things if you plan your things out. You can plan your work, you can plan how you earn money. If you save, like you can save in other parts of like spending and stuff, and you can increase your income by investing and stuff like that. So there's a whole path where you can actually plan out things and arrive at a solution. But people are either lazy to do that, or they're not interested, or they believe they can't do it.
Yeah, and there's one more reason basically, like people nowadays, they feel that the tag of being depressed, they might get sympathy out of that. So
Yeah.
they are not even ready to look for solutions basically. They are just living under the social media world that if they are tagged as depressed, so they will be getting sympathy and they're enjoying it basically. Majority of us are doing that also in our generation.
Yeah.
The reason they don't like me attacking that is because depression is a fantastic way to subdue a population, right? If everybody's depressed, it's hard to have a revolution. You're depressed. Oh, they've locked us all in our houses. I don't want to go outside anyway. I'm sad. Right? So depression's a fantastic tool of population control. They have no problem with you being depressed. They have a problem with you being the opposite, principled and energetic. No, you don't want principled, energetic people. That's a problem. Bunch of depressed people, easy. If you had to invade a country, would you rather the opposing army be principled and energetic or depressed?
I'll tell you, I would not want to be invaded by a cheerful army.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
They're having too much fun, right? You want them all to be depressed. So
A morose army is easier to defeat. I agree.
absolutely. So depression is a defended idea. You're not allowed to even talk about it. You're not allowed to help people get out of it, right? They like the idea of a depressed population. And this is what I say to people. Now, I'm not stupid. I understand like PTSD is real. I understand mental health is real. I'm not saying that, but I say if you're an 18-year-old boy or 18-year-old man and your life is pretty much okay, bacteria didn't steal your eyesight, which could have happened. You never had a car crash and lost both of your legs, which could have happened. You're actually very fortunate. And you wake up and you say, I'm depressed. I think you're an idiot. I don't think you're depressed. I think you've been psyoped. I think you feel a little bit of depression and you can fix that by changing your life. I think if you became rich and strong and smart and successful and you worked hard and you dedicated yourself and you were motivated and you tried your very, very best to become excellent, you probably wouldn't feel depressed anymore, which means it's not a disease, is it? So why would you, well, the only reason you're even saying you have depression is because you believe in it.
So you're arguing for cause and effect. You're saying if you live a certain way, you're going to feel a certain way.
Absolutely. And I also would argue that I think we've evolutionarily, even though I do believe in God, I think that we've designed ourselves and the human has grown into a way where if you feel depressed or sad, I think that's a fantastic trigger or a warning signal to do something. If you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to complete this monumental task. You have to conquer the world. I would say, okay, but I need a emotional motivation to do that. I need to be unhappy having not completed the task. I need to be uncomfortable, right? If you're uncomfortable being out of shape, you'll get in shape. If you're happy being out of shape, then you're just going to stay out of shape, right? So if you feel a degree of uncomfortableness inside of your mind, I think it's just your mind telling you that something about your life needs to change.
Yes.
You need to get up and change something. Guys would say to me, I'm depressed because I'm fat and I have no girlfriend. And I'd say, no, you have no girlfriend and you're fat and that's why you're depressed. If you go change those two things, you'd probably be surprised that your disease goes away. I had another guy say he was going to kill himself. I said,
yeah, so he mentioned about wealth being a factor of getting into depression. He's telling that if we are wealthy and if we are living a luxurious life, he mentions that the chances of getting depressed is null. So how do you guys counter that?
I don't think he didn't say luxury life. He said if you work on your life, you increase your status or you increase your income level or increase your standard of living, or whatever it is. It's not necessary that it has to go to luxury, but as you keep on increasing, you'll be more comfortable.
I mean, with the word luxury, I meant increasing our standard of living with our planned goals, basically. But how is that related to getting depressed or not? I mean, there are wealthy people who are getting depressed, and I've read stories where for wealthy people, the chances are higher. Basically.
See, that ties to the next point he said. The next point he said was even if you get into the depression part and you don't account that as motivation and just stay in that state, you can't progress forward. So you can't increase your standard of living or status or whatever it is, and that becomes a cycle of staying in that state. But if you use it as motivation, if you use it as fuel, and when you use fuel in a car, what happens? The fuel gets exhausted.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you use depression as fuel or for motivation or something like that, the depression gets exhausted because you're progressing.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard the saying where if you have small wins in life, that is gonna make a big difference in your progress? So similarly, those small wins are what you're gonna be getting based on the motivation fueled by depression.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that happens, then depression is going to be acting as fuel and it's going to keep on varying instead of compounding on top of each other as time moves along. I think that's the main key point over here.
Yeah, if the source of that person being depressed is his status of living, then that is true that he must use that particular mindset as his motivation to better himself, his lifestyle or whatever. But if the source is different, or maybe he's feeling different things in different with respect to different matters in his life, so depression will be taking a different path.
No, I think he was just generalizing it.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. So the source has to be treated.
Yeah,
the source
exactly.
of the depression has to be treated, which is a key point. I think it was more generalized in this thing because it's an interview and stuff like that. But I think that's the key point.
Right.
It's back when I used to reply to my emails when I was smaller. I said, make me a promise, get a six-pack first.
Of beer?
I said, get a six-pack first, get in fantastic shape, and then do whatever you want. Didn't want to kill himself once he was in fantastic shape.
So he did it?
Yeah. I have the before and after. I put him on Twitter. Kind of interesting, that, isn't it? So how are we going to say we have this disease, which is cause and effect? How are we going to say we have this disease where there's something wrong with you as a man, you have a disease because your life sucks? I mean, I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it. And another thing I also preach, and this is another thing that's very important, I also think as a man, because life as a man is pain and suffering, and when I say that, because you're never going to be a good man or good at being a man without pain and suffering. You're going to have to go through a bunch of shit and have a terrible life to become a good man. I think you should embrace that and accept it And I think that the correct mental model for men to have is a degree of stoicism and not to be too concerned with even how they feel. If I woke up today happy, I would have done this interview with you. If I woke up today sad, I would have done this interview with you. What's the difference? Why put so much importance on my emotion if certain things must be done? I must work. I must train. I must see Tucker Carlson. I must resist the Matrix.
He's got duties.
I've got things to do. So why are we going to sit around and talk about how I feel if it doesn't even affect how I act?
So I think 3 points came up over here. One point is initially when he was talking about working out. I can literally attest for that because I hit the gym every day. So working out, one is you're bettering your body, and the other thing is it makes you addicted to the point of the small wins which I was talking about before. Yeah. When you go to the gym and you work out every day and you see a small change in your body which actually looks good and makes you feel better, that is a small win every day. Like it might not be every day, that's exaggerating it. It might be weekly or monthly, but you will see those small wins, and I think those wins are going to actually add up to your emotional state, and it's going to work. Like it's not going to be like you, as he said, like you might not want to kill yourself if you're actually progressing with small wins in at least one phase of your life or one activity in your life. That again goes back to the generic idea in today's day and age of body shaming and stuff like that. Because if people are like, you should not be body shaming or stuff like that. It's not about body shaming. It's about
your fitness.
It's your fitness, it's your health. Like if you're actually fat, obesity leads to lots of diseases. And you'll be worried if you're like, I'm depressed because I'm about to die or something.
Just watching out for you.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, obesity leads to mental health as well.
Yeah.
That is not, there is no awareness about that particular thing. And they again related to body shaming, which you mentioned. Whereas the main reason of that particular obesity, of that depression because of that obesity, is basically they have to deal with it by getting into fitness and getting into the shape.
See, it's like this. They want to accept that they look good when they're fat or something like that. But if people tell that they're fat, why do they get offended if they look good when they're fat?
Exactly.
That's literally complementing their own thought process, right? And when it goes to that thought, they refuse to actually work out, and they refuse to better it, and they just want to be in their comfort zone.
Exactly.
Which doesn't work out the way they want it to, because they'll still be getting sicker. Their mobilities decrease, their bones and densities decrease, their bones actually shrink. I think there's scientific evidence that as you get more obese, your bones shrink to facilitate for the fat in the body, because it eats up it drains all the calcium from the bones and stuff like that. I'm not a doctor, but I think there are studies which actually prove this, and this again, moving from an obese to a fit person, it can do wonders for your health, mental and physical health. Yeah. And I think the next topic he talked about was specifically about men, right? And I agree with that as well, because I think men and women are different, and I think men have to deal with certain adversities and difficult periods in their life, because that's how men are wired to be. Like, we need to go through hell to actually be able to conquer hell, which is a very I always say this among as you know, my friends, is men have to go through hell and negativity more, and females have to go through more positivity to actually progress in general, for that matter. Because if I think we all have had experiences with females where actually if we say something negative, they get really offended, they get really angry, and they get really sad that there's so much negativity.
If you motivate them, they'll do wonders.
Yeah. Like, we have to support them. But at the same time, for men, if we actually negate something, in their life for
You
them.
start working towards
They
it,
just
like
they start working towards it.
Yeah.
They get motivated for it. So I think there's a huge difference in that as well. About the third point, I want to hear the whole thing and then let's address it.
And as a man, it shouldn't, because there's too much to do. And the masculine world is hyper competitive. This is another thing most people don't understand.
Totally agree.
It's hyper competitive out here. All the women want a few men at the top. The Ferrari, you don't want a Ferrari to drive fast. You want a Ferrari because other men want a Ferrari and can't have one. It's hyper competitive. So if you're competing against every other man for every dollar you make, every girl you see, the house you live in, the car you drive, the life you live, you're not going to be able to compete with the person who performs regardless of how they feel if you only compete when you feel like competing. Right? Because there's men like me out there who will be sad every day and outcompete you regardless. I don't care how I feel. I will still win. And that's the kind of mindset you need to adopt. So I don't, when a man
You've
comes...
got a job to do. Stop whining. Go to work.
Completely.
I agree. I'm with
Completely.
you. Yes.
So when men say, oh, but I feel sad. Who cares? The world doesn't care. All the men who are out here to destroy you and take your girl don't care. So why do you care? Like the person who should care least is you. You're the only person who wakes up every day who should have a genuine vested interest in improving your life. Nobody else wakes up and wants to improve your life. Only you. So if nobody else cares about how you feel, why do you care? So my argument also for depression is you're depressed, fine. Have you trained today? Well, that doesn't change what you should do with your life, depressed or not. And I don't say this because I'm an eternally happy person. I say this because I've experienced all ranges of human emotion. I was in a Romanian jail cell with cockroaches crawling all over me as I slept. I never missed a day of training. I wouldn't say I was particularly happy, but push-ups must be done. So they got done.
Did you?
I think that's the end. So yeah, I mean the last point was actually dragged to the end. So the thing which he was talking about is like you do your everyday things regardless of your emotional state, which is a really big thing again in today's day and age, which people are doing. They're tying their emotional state to every action and decision they make at every second in their life.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because
each and every situation is different. Each and every work you do is different. You're doing different things for different.
But your emotional state is centralized to you.
Yes,
so you
it's
can't,
me, but I can't impose that on something else and start working on that. Right?
Because every situation changes. Like for example, if you're sad in a certain place or situation, like in a personal situation, but if you go to a professional environment, you can't take that emotional state and be there.
Exactly.
And you can't run a business or work as an employee or whatever, because that's going to ruin your work as well. Which is going to have a chain reaction on how you react to people over there or something like that.
It's like just because you're having a bad day, you can't
stop working.
Yeah, although it might be interconnected, or maybe they are showing their emotions in other works which they shouldn't. But even if they are, they must focus on how to deal with that particular reason why they're depressed. So that will in turn solve their problem of varied emotions in all the workplaces or personal life.
Yeah, but the thing is, whatever emotions you are feeling in your personal life shouldn't be shown in your work, right?
Yeah,
you're having problems, but
it.
you have to meet the deadlines, whatever happens.
It's not only about work. Like for example, I can concretely say that even though I go to the gym, sometimes once you come back from the gym, your body is sore, your muscles are sore, and you would like to sleep. Most of the time, I don't sleep. I either come back and I take a shower, have my protein shake or something like that, and I either have my dinner and get back to work, or I just immediately get back to work. That's literally what I do. Or even if I'm not feeling like going to the gym today, I only take rest if I've been out all day, I've not got any time to come back and actually hit the gym, or it's actually a rest day for me because your body needs to rest. But other than that, if I'm feeling like I just don't feel like going to the gym today, regardless of my emotional state, I just take my vehicle, drive to the gym, just step in there. The environment just brings back all the desireness of actually working out. That's just, you just need to do that, like take that one step of entering the gym, and everything else settles out because you adapt to the environment. like any human being for that matter. I think there's a word called phrase called natural selection, where any organism on the planet of the Earth, over a period of time, it may take decades, years, whatever it is, centuries, millennia, whatever it is. There's always evolution of any organism, and that evolution is always based upon the environment surrounding it.
Yeah.
So, and that goes back to the minutest level, which can be minutes or seconds, because that's how habits change every day. Like that's how our habits are based on, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, we're in school, our habits are different. College habits are different. While working, habits are different.
Yeah.
Like phases of life, right? So that is a time period. So the time period, those environmental influences, external influences, goes for any time frame in your life. That's what I mean.
So basically, to generalize these, so we have to point out at the particular reason, and we have to deal with it at this same point. And we should not bottle it up and make it affect our other work, being professional or personal life. And we shouldn't be in the state of mind that we are depressed, so I'll not be able to do a particular thing. We shouldn't keep it as a reason, but as a motivation or as a deviation, basically distraction, not just a motivation.
You either win or you lose. If you lose, you have to work on it. If you win, move on. That's it.
And I know this interview is just on men's mental health, but in general, what we are talking about, I think it applies for any
everyone.
gender for that matter. So, and it doesn't matter like what gender you are. A mental state is a mental state, regardless of gender, and because you're a human being, that's what matters. Like how you deal with it, how you react to it, what's your perspective on it. It being the situation or the problem at hand.
Yeah.
And that's how your emotional state is regulated based on your decisions, perceptions, and anything related to it. So I think that's it for the reaction and our views on it, perspectives. So let us know if you guys want us to react to any other video or talk about anything else in the comments down below.
And you can share your views on your take on mental health, and basically if you are for or against Andrew Tate, or all of us, where we were for and against, we didn't agree to the same point as well. So let us down.
I mean, yeah, people have varied views and stuff, but that doesn't mean that people should hate each other on that.
Yeah.
Everyone's situations are different. Everyone's what is it?
Background, right?
Background and how they approach their problem.
Now, even if you hate us, rant about it in the comments down below.
Exactly.
We want to see your comments. So, yeah, thank you for watching. This is the Brotherhood's Compass, and we'll see you in our next videos.
Thank you. Bye, guys.